components and DC components, you can have an idea how the current looks. So the current variation from maximum speed to minimum, maximum, again to the maximum value. So it's like all the three transient conditions, the behavior of your current, which produces the flux, is shown here. The current which produces the torque is shown in AC components. You can have a look, ISY. And this is the frequency, what is going inside, what is the frequency available in these AC components. These are the frequency variation at different stages of your speed controls, from maximum value to zero, zero to maximum. Similarly, this is the variation of your flux torque producing components and its frequency variation, what is going inside the frequency, shown here. And this is going to be your controlled voltage, which produces the flux during various variations. So initially, how it varies with respect to each time. So this shows you a clear idea. Similarly, this is for the torque producing component, how all these AC parameters are varying. And this is the angle, how it is rotated. So we have shown here, the angle is integrated, so 360 degree. For various conditions, maximum speed, zero speed, again maximum speed, how the angle is rotating. And the same value of these two voltages, which is in AC quantity, has been represented in DC. So you can get an idea how it looks. So this is, I can say, a Clark's transformation, which has the AC components. And the difference between these two will be 90 degree. Whereas in DC, the same has been shown, how the parameters are available in different conditions of your speed control. Last but not the least is the most simplest condition is the scalar vector control. So in scalar vector control, you can able to have a frequency parameter, and this is a lookup table you need to calculate. You have the frequency variation, then voltage variation. So by varying the frequencies, you can able to plot a parameter of the voltage. So say 0 to 50 hertz. Then I feed the parameter here 0 to 440 volt. Example I'm giving. So this is a lookup table I create. And these parameters are fed to sine cos transformation. So you have the frequency and voltage. By using this formula, we can able to calculate what is a flux producing component, torque producing component. Then you can feed to your inverter and you can control the motor. So simple method, same applicable for synchronous machine or induction motor. How the control loops works. So I'm going to control the frequency from 0 to rated, then above the rated. Similarly, we will have the voltage profile from 0 to the rated, then also above the rated, but we are most focused towards the rated value. And if you increase the frequency, what happened? The voltage never going to start at 0, because in DC machine or AC machine, you will have a residual mechanism. So there will be a voltage always available in your AC machine or a DC machine. So it starts with a minimum value, then start increases with respect to the increase in the frequency, the voltage is also then reaches the rated value. Then still if you increase the frequency, you can keep the voltage constant, whereas the frequency is increasing. This region is called field weakening region. Why we go for field weakening region? If you have an induction motor, I want to run the induction motor above the rated speed. Say the rated speed is 1450 rpm. I can control with either with the frequency or the voltage, so that I can able to enter into the field weakening region. Field weakening region. So this is called field weakening region. That is the advantage of going for V by F control, where I can be able to drive the motor greater than the rated speed. How it is done in real time? This is an example given from a TMS32F281 DSP processor. A simple V by F control is done. So we have the inverter, DC power supply, and the motor under testing. And this is called a tacho generator, which sends the parameter of the speed. Output obviously will be a voltage between 0 to 3 volts. So this is a square wave. So you can see I said in the beginning, these are voltages because you have a tacho generator, its output is going to be a voltage, and these parameters will be done calculation in your DSP. So all these parameters are fed to a capture driver, which is a time sampled. So you'll get a time sampled value. From the time sampled value, we can able to calculate what is rotor speed. So from the reference pulses, which is the reference value of your speed, we can able to calculate what is your omega by calculations and linearization. And this can be compared with the actual value, what you need in your motor as a reference value compared with the actual value, then put to a P regulator so that you can be able to calculate slip. The difference between the rated speed and the available speed is going to be the slip. So the slip is added with again with the rated speed. So then we can able to calculate what is the frequency you need to have your rated frequency required to drive your motor. And this parameter is given to V by F profile. What is V by F profile? Is nothing but this lookup table. Then you can able to calculate as like I explained here, same blocks. Then we calculate what is the frequency and voltage requirement for your modulation. From the modulation, you can able to generate 6 PWM, which drives the inverter, so that we can have an effective control only for the speed. So in this case, I control, just give a few parameters speed, I control the motor. So this is not a dynamic control, this is a scalar control. And what are the applications in real time with the power electronics and these motors? So grid can be connected to a DFIG, then to a wind turbine. So wind turbine prime mover is connected to a DFIG, double fed induction generator. From the stator, we can feed the voltage to the grid based on the speed of your wind blades. Of course, what is the advantage of DFIG? The rotor can also generate a power. That is a special character of DFIG where you can control the rotor also. The power generated from the rotor can be fed to a rectifier, so AC to DC conversion. By using a filter, we can filter the ripple contents, then fed to an inverter, DC to AC, then to a transformer, we can connect to the grid. So the power is fed from stator as well as the rotor. It's an example. And this transformer is required because this is very high power transmission and this is all operated at low power. So it can be megawatt, this can be a kilowatt. To have an isolation, we are using isolation transformers. And how to do this in real time? Yes, we have an inverter, DFIG, and the stator parameters are taken, voltage and current fed to the calculation blocks. Rotor parameters is taken to calculate again in the blocks. From the block, we are getting active power, reactive power, the angle required for the rotation of your rotor. Then we are also calculating the current which is produced, torque and flux from the machine. Then control algorithm, once we have all these parameter calculated, active power, reactive power as a reference compared with the actual value we've taken from the calculation. This is the real value of the system under testing. Then put a PI regulator. So the PI regulator will give you a reference for IR alpha and IR beta, which can control active and reactive power of your DFIG. Then calculate all the parameter to rotor transformation. So we have the angle, rotate the angle. So these are DC components, and the DC component is rotated for your rotation with respect to rotor, because everything need to be synchronized with the rotor, so that we can able to get same parameter alpha and beta here in rotor reference frame. So it is now synchronized to rotor. By calculating from the parameter of the stator, now we are moving to the rotor. Then these parameters can be compared with the actual value from the calculations fed here. Put a PI regulator. The purpose of the PI regulator to regulate IR, AR, IR, beta R, so that alpha R and beta R, so that we can able to regulate active and reactive power effectively. And these parameters are in current, so obviously we get a voltage parameter which controls active and reactive power. Now we fed to the PI regulator. I am fed to the pulse width modulator, which is able to generate 6 PW. So the algorithm is more straightforward. You are directly controlling the active and reactive power through an inverter to DFIG, so that the power can be fed to the grid very effectively. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any question, I'm happy to respond.
Yes, participants, if you are having any questions, you can please type that in the chat box.
Uh, or if you have a question, you can email me, because we have some other activities also, so that you can email me. I will be happy to respond. If you collect the questions and you can send us an email, I will respond you.
Okay, sir. I think there is one query from Harsh Upadhyay.
Mhm.
Why power plants are rated in megawatt when synchronous generators are in MVA voltage?
It's a very basic question. For example, the load can be inductive or capacitive or resistive. So load cannot be predetermined. A best example is a transformer cannot be rated in kilowatt. If you know the power factor, because the formula is VI cos phi, very simple, 3 phase root 3 VI cos phi. So when you know the power factor, then you can convert your